SIU will play SIU Edwardsville. Yes, they are in the same school system, but tonight they settled on the court. SIU is 10-13. Meanwhile, Evansville is 9-14 and 6-6 overall in conference play. Players to watch out for: SIU's player Ali Dibier and Tayshawn Newcomer is the player to watch out for on Indiana State. Both of these players lead their teams in scoring. Check out the game on ESPN Plus if you're interested at 7 o'clock. We give you a little of my college sports there. What about what's going up there in Carbondale sports?
The men's basketball team is starting to get it together a little bit. You know, they changed coaches last year, brought in Scott Nagy as the head coach this year. He's a very experienced coach. He's been in the business for 30 years, but as it happens every year, especially when a coach leaves, the entire roster from last year pretty much left. Only three returning players from last year, and only two that really saw any playing time. So it was a whole new roster, and it's taken them a while to kind of gel and get it together. But they've won three in a row now. Looked really impressive the other night in blowing out a good Northern Iowa team. So maybe they're getting it together a little bit. But they got off to a really slow start, lost some really close games. But, you know, maybe they'll play their best basketball here down the stretch. We're just about 6 weeks away from the postseason tournament. So it's time to kick it in gear if they're going to do so. Women's basketball has really struggled this year. They've only got 3 wins, and it's been a tough go for them. And football in the fall, it was just riddled with injuries. I mean, they were down to at the end of the year a fifth string quarterback who actually was a graduate assistant coach at the beginning of the year. They had to get a waiver from the NCAA to bring him onto the roster. They did. He played some at the end of the year, and in the last game of the year, in fact, he set a school record with 7 touchdown passes. So it was just an incredible story. Got national attention and all that. So football was it was disappointing because they figured they'd make the playoffs again, but when they lost their top 4 quarterbacks to injury this year, everything kind of went south on them, and they didn't finish with a 500 record. But I think they'll be back, be in fine shape again next year. But that conference is, I mean, again, the champion came from that conference with North Dakota State again, so it's the best conference in FCS football, no doubt.
So SIU basketball coach left to go to DePaul.
Right, he's an assistant, yeah, at DePaul.
Why would he leave?
Well, he got fired, so I mean, he didn't have a choice. they didn't renew his contract, so yeah, it wasn't his decision. But
did you think they should have paid him, or did you think they should have?
It is a tough choice. I mean, if I'm looking at it from the athletic director standpoint, and he's having to decide whether to shell out a bunch more money over a multi-year contract, and he didn't think the program was going in the right direction, then okay, you don't do that. But I don't think the program was in such bad shape. I mean, they were winning. They won 19 games last year, had a very disappointing end to the season. And they've won over 20 games a couple of times with this coach, just haven't made the NCAA tournament. And it was a tough decision, I know, because the previous coach, Brian Mullins, he's a Hall of Famer at SIU, Hall of Fame basketball player there. He's beloved by the community and the fans, so it was a tough decision. It took a while, I think, for the fans to come around and start to embrace this team a little bit, but I think they have now, and they're. But I don't know. I can't. If I were the AD, I might have hung on to Coach Mullins, but I mean, I give him credit. He stuck his neck out on that decision, and now he's hoping that it was the right decision. If Coach Nagy can turn this thing around, it's not going to happen this year, but he hopes to be able to recruit more of his players coming. I mean, he literally got hired in the spring and had about a month to try and put a roster together. So it was incredibly tough. So, and another thing that's hurt this year's team is their point guard, who was a good player, a transfer, tore his ACL, and he's been out since the third or fourth game of the year. So that really set him back as well. But I think next year and certainly the year after that, it's going to tell the tale as to whether or not the coaching decision was the right one.
Now we move on to the rest of the games today. Mizzou, number 15, will play number 4, Tennessee. We'll go for Tennessee. Players to watch out for from Missouri. Tamar Bates and has been hitting threes lately. And Caleb Grill, if he gets hot, watch out. He's been hot lately. And Tennessee player to watch out is Chaz Lisner. Tennessee is very good, and it would be a tough game for Missouri to win. Mizzou off to a good start, and I know they lost last night to Texas, and the football team was pretty good.
And Eli Drinkwitz, what is he? They have the number 1 transfer recruiting class in the country, I think, for next year. So, I mean, it's remarkable what he's been able to do there.
And so, I guess, what do you think about the football program? And then quickly on the basketball program, like, just the basketball program's a lot better, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, after last year when you didn't win a conference game all year, I mean, he brought in some players that seem to fit well. I mean, they are so deep. I mean, they can run 10, 11 guys out there. That's remarkable at this level, and they are fun to watch. I mean, they get up and down. They score a lot. They make some exciting plays. I've enjoyed watching them this year. My son went to school there, and so he keeps me abreast of all the behind-the-scenes stuff. He still follows them closely, and I watch them whenever I can, and they're fun to watch. I mean, that win over Kansas was electric. That was amazing, and then the win at Florida the other day, that was incredible. A big win there for him. So I think unless they totally fall on their face in conference play, they should definitely be in the NCAA tournament this year. But the SEC, I mean, wow. Every game you're playing a top 20 team, it seems like. It's just a battle every game. And on the road, forget about it. So if they can finish 500 in the league this year, they should be in the NCAA tournament. So that'll be fun to get them back there. Football, I mean, wow. Coach Drinkwitz, I mean, he's got such a great personality. I love his news conferences. He's always he's very insightful, but he does it. He throws some humor in there, and that's probably why players love him. I mean, he cares about them, but he makes it, he keeps it loose and fun. It looks like for them. So I think it's only going to be bigger and better things for Mizzou. I mean, maybe another run, try and get in the playoff next year. They came up just short this year. I think if they had played closer games against Texas A&M and maybe Alabama, they might have snuck in a little closer to the top 12. But when they got blown out in those games, I think that pretty well eliminated them. But I think, hey, playing in the SEC, you're going to get plenty of big games to try and impress people to hang in there and maybe one of these years get in the college playoff.
Eagles go for the second Super Bowl in their history. The Chiefs go for their third in 3 years. And Chiefs go for their 5th Super Bowl. And third in 3 years, as everybody knows, the Chiefs can use the word repeat. Pat Riley gave permission to the Chiefs today, years earlier, to use that. And not trademark it. I gotta be honest, I know you couldn't use it on shirts, but this is what I would call it, a three-peat. What's the difference? Saquon Barkley facts, 30 yards to surpass former Bronco running back Terrell Davis of marking and rushing yards in regular seasons and playoffs. Running back champion of the regular season won a Super Bowl. Not allowing 100 yards to Barkley is important. In all the Eagles' losses, Saquon Barkley did not get 100 yards. They're probably going to want to have Jalen Hurts around 40 yards. There were games where he got over 40 yards and lost, but that's not fire you want to be messing with. That's Sam Vaughan Sports.